This week on Dance of Joy, we talk about windmill terminology, flimsy sitcom ladders, and the new/old trendy way to walk. All that and more as we watch season 6, episode 20 of our favorite 80s hit sitcom, Perfect Strangers. Hello and welcome to Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast. My name is Imran. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me every week is my sister, Sophia. How you doing?
Hello. I'm doing okay. We just had Halloween earlier this week.
Yes.
And here in Chicago on Halloween, we also had our first snow.
Yeah, that was crazy. It snowed. We had a white Halloween.
It actually hailed, too.
Yeah, it did a little bit later.
And I know that because it was Halloween, so I'd gone to a friend's neighborhood, and we walked around to see, like, the different houses and stuff and the decorations in the cold.
In the snow.
I did have, like a warm costume on, but in the snow, in the cold, and now I'm starting to feel a little congested.
And now you have a cold.
Now I have a cold from the cold. I don't think it works that way, but something got me from that night.
I gotta hand it to the kids though. In this neighborhood, they still came out. I was like, nobody's coming out.
It was very cold.
It was cold and wet, and there was at least an inch of snow on the ground.
Hail.
The kids came out and got candy. Now, Let me ask you this: if you were a kid, Halloween, would that have stopped you? Would snow have stopped you?
I mean, it didn't stop me as an adult. I was out, and now I'm sick.
I would be like, look, there's gonna be less people out. There's more chocolate for me. I'm getting out there. I don't care. But at my age now, I was like, I wouldn't go out there.
Yeah.
Who cares? Interestingly enough, 2019, that wasn't the first time. It snowed like over 3 inches on Halloween. Yeah, on 2019, just a few years ago. So yeah, very rare, but it's Chicago.
It's Chicago.
Chicago is what? It's cold. It's windy.
It's cold, windy, frigid temperatures, but life goes on. You can't just stop life when it gets cold.
Not only on the ground level, but up top at the skyscraper level.
Life goes on.
It's also cold and windy, which is what...
what are we talking about? We're talking about Perfect Strangers, Season 6, Episode 20, titled Climb Every Billboard, which also... the whole episode takes place in very cold weather. That's the link there.
Cold, windy fall, I guess, weather, or whenever this is. It's kind of spring. I don't know.
It's kind of spring.
But you never know. That
Climb
title...
Every Billboard.
It did remind me of the song. Climb Every Mountain from The Sound of Music. Climb every mountain. I don't know the next line.
Something about the sea.
Yeah. Swim every sea. Cross every sea. Cross every sea. I'm not super familiar with Sound of Music. I mean, I know Do Re Mi and the other song, but the Climb Every Mountain, all I know is climb
every mountain. But now we're climbing every billboard.
Climb every Oh, that's a lot of billboards.
And if you were to open the TV guide back in the day, you would have read this description about this episode. The cousins perch precariously.
Oh, I like the alliteration.
Plosives. Yeah. The cousins perch precariously on a billboard in freezing weather, waiting for the Bulls' losing streak to end.
Yeah, the Bulls used to lose games, apparently.
What?
We're in the 90s, but we're in the early 90s. Where the Bulls go on to dominate the sport for the decade. But it wasn't always like that. I guess we'll find out. We got our main cast of the Tight Two, the duo, that dynamic duo, the cousins, Bronson Pinchot as Balky and Mark Lynn Baker as Larry Appleton.
BP and MLB.
RJ Wainwright, FJ, RJ, RT. I've confused all the initials.
What are you talking about?
FJ O'Neill shows up playing RT Wainwright, of course, the publisher of the Chronicle, and there's another little cameo. But yeah, we just got the cousins and a little Mr. Wainwright. That's it.
So it's a cold episode, not necessarily. There's no snow in it, but how cold was it? It was as cold as we have here in Chicago in mid-March. This episode aired March 15, 1991.
Yeah, the January, February, March, traditionally also cold.
Very cold.
Very cold.
Dark.
You know what's not cold? Your sofa in your living room where you can sit comfortably,
very cozy,
and binge watch Perfect Strangers on Amazon. Freebie.
Freebie.
All 8 seasons streaming up there. Watch along, binge with us.
watch as Balky's accent changes.
As his hair changes, as everything, the apartment changes.
Yeah,
it's quite a thing.
Okay, but back in March 15, 1991, we are climbing every billboard, and we open this episode, as we often do, in the basement of the Chicago Chronicle. And we open with a very delightful, just lovely,
fantastic musical
and
number.
Dance duet.
Fantastic. What is happening? Who's singing? What is happening?
So we see Balky at his mail table stamping letters, and he's singing that song, I've Been Working on the Railroad. What's it called? Dinah. But he's singing his own version. He's singing, I've been working in the mail room all the live long day.
Rhythmically stamping. I've been working on the railroad. Like he's
on the beat.
Like he's working on the railroad, hitting with a hammer. It's so good. He's stamping letters.
And Larry comes in with some excited news to tell. He's like, Balky. Balky disregards him and keeps singing. And he goes into that next part where he's like, someone's in the basement with Balky. Someone's in the basement, I know. Someone's in the basement with Balky. And Larry's trying to get his attention, Balky, but Balky keeps singing. He says, someone's in the basement with Balky. Larry's like, Balky, and he keeps going. He says, strumming on the old banjo. And then Larry finally gives in and just joins him. And they both go and sing in Fee Fi Fili-I-O. And they're like dancing.
They swing back and forth
together in sync. And then they get to the end of that phrase, Fee Fi Fili-I-O. And they're like belting out this number like operatic vibrato.
In harmony also.
Yeah, in harmony with each other.
So they both hit this long note at the same time. And then Balky drops out. And Mark Lynn Baker continues to hold this note pitched perfectly
for long.
A really long time. It's so impressive. I'm like, and just as I'm like, how does he have the breath? He starts leaning backwards, passing out, falling out.
That was really
Balky
funny.
has to catch him, pick him back up, and then they finish
together with the good old strumming on the old banjo
in beautiful harmony, and it's so great. Oh my God, the audience goes crazy.
I love it when they sung and danced together.
It was so impressive, Mark Lynn Baker. Jeez,
sing it.
He's holding it for like a minute.
They're both really good
40,
singers
50 a minute. I don't know how
in real life.
Yes, without wavering. Like not even like he was holding that no pitch per. It was so good, so good. Anyways.
I wonder if they did that in one take.
I would think like that. Yeah, you got to do that once and get it done.
Yeah.
But we haven't got the plot yet, and we don't get it for a little bit.
This is a unusual break in our pattern here.
Because Larry goes, Balky, you'll never guess what just happened to me, and you're like, oh, okay, here's the plot.
You think this is the setup.
Here's the premise.
It ends up being a totally random conversation that doesn't serve much purpose to this plot.
No.
As far as I can tell, but we'll talk about that. So he's all excited to tell him this news. What news? He tells Balky that he was sitting at the lunch counter and the mayor walked in. Balky goes, get out of the city council.
That's great. Little play on get out of the city.
Larry says that he went right up to the mayor, introduced himself. The mayor looked him right in the eye and said, don't bother me while I'm eating.
And he's like really excited about this.
Yeah.
That he got this much attention.
Larry's quite proud of that. Even he's like, I think I made a good impression. He said, I could tell as they were dragging me away from the table.
That's a funny image too.
So and that's where the story ends. The next thing is,
so this whole mayor
what's
thing,
it for? Like it shows us that Larry's, I don't know.
He's trying to make a difference in Chicago and get the attention of the mayor for a story, whatever.
No, I don't know. Really, it really doesn't fit.
All of this is so Larry could go, so what did you do for lunch, Balky?
Yeah, I think that was the whole reason.
They're like, how do we get there?
Him.
Yeah.
And there could have been a much faster way to get to what Balky did. So Balky just like gives this nonchalant, like, oh, I went to the lunch truck. I got a soda.
But it also shows like Larry gets no respect, right? He's trying to
maybe
be someone in journalism, and nobody's taking him seriously. Anyways,
yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe we'll see, because that would be kind of relevant. But I didn't get that connection.
It's like a little bit of a character establishment overall.
Yeah.
But okay, what did Balky do for lunch?
Balky just gives this nonchalant list of things he did. He said, I went to lunch truck, I got a soda, I went to the Wilcox building and got a job offer, I went to the park and fed the pigeons. And then Larry's eyes bug out. He's like, you did what? Bel's like, I fed the pigeons. He's like, cousin, the little pigeon with the broken wing, I got him to eat out of my hand. And Larry, of course, not interested in the pigeons. He wants to know about the job offer. He's like, tell me about the job offer. And Balky's like, it's not a big deal. Mr. Beekman, the building manager, wants me to be the head of the mailroom. Head of the mailroom. And Larry's like, of course, greedy Larry's like, oh, that's great. More money? That was his first question.
More money.
Balky says that, it would be about twice what he's making now. And then he wants to keep talking about the pigeon. He's like, the pigeon, I think he's got a girlfriend.
That name Beekman, that's I think it was a building before. It's come up before. They reuse the word Beekman as a name of stuff all the time.
True.
Yeah, and I love when Larry drops his voice when he's just like, that's great.
More money.
So Balky's going to make twice at this job, but
he's going to be head of the mailroom.
He's not into it. He wants to talk about the pigeon, how the pigeon had a girlfriend, possibly. And Larry's like, really weird delivery and whiny. He's like, Balky, when do they want you to start your new job?
He's like screaming at him. I'm like, relax, Larry.
Balky is not sure he's going to take said new job. And again, Larry Spike's like, holding out for more money. I taught you well.
Oh my God.
Balky's like, it's not the money, and you never taught me Bo Diddley.
So the expression was, you didn't teach me diddly squat.
And then you had...
And then Bo Diddley's come up before.
Well, Bo Diddley was the guitarist, and they made a commercial with Bo Jackson, and you're like, Bo knows baseball. And Bo Diddley's like, Bo, you don't know diddly.
Yeah.
So then, not knowing anything became, you don't know Bo Diddley.
Yeah.
It's all confusing.
It's all very 80s.
It's all kind of culture, pop culture mixed together.
But...
They've made
we've
Bo
talked
Diddley,
about this whole history. They've made
done
this
the Bo Diddley,
before.
Bo Jackson reference last season, I think. Yeah. So Balky does not want this new job. He doesn't want to leave his friends.
And why doesn't he want? He said he's going to miss his old friends.
Yes, that's why he doesn't want to leave.
That's dumb.
And Larry says, at double your salary, you can buy new friends. Take the job. Yeah,
what's the problem here? It's a promotion. It's more money.
And then Balky goes, cousin, don't pressure cook me. It's kind of funny. Don't pressure me. But when this happened, I was like, Balky would never leave cousin Larry. Like he loves Miss Lydia and even Gorpley and his job. The money means nothing.
Work in the basement still?
He would be head of the mailroom. It's a promotion for him.
It's upstairs?
Yeah, it wouldn't be. No, it's in a different building. It's a whole different building. They're trying to poach him.
They're trying to poach
the Wilcox building. He's going to be head of the mailroom.
I totally missed that.
He'll go from just delivering the mail to being like Gorpley in another building.
Okay, I missed that.
That's a big deal. That's a lot of money. That's a big promotion. But knowing Balky, you're like, he's not going to want to leave. He's not going to want to leave. Anyway, so he's filling out this letter. He walks over to the mailbox, and Larry follows him. And Balky explains on MePost, we don't rush into decisions. We just give them a lot of care and thought and preparation. And Larry's like, that makes sense. And he goes on to explain some fun Maposian culture here.
He explains to Larry how they make a major decision. When you have a major decision to make, you climb to the top of Mount Mepos, and then you just sit there and you wait for a sign from Destiniki.
Destiniki. It's great.
Destiniki, of course, is the god of decisions. He lives in the clouds, attended by his guitar-playing daughter, Dominiki Niki.
This is very obscure joke.
I didn't even get
it?
This joke, no.
I kind of got it. There's a song. I don't know who would get this. This is a reference from like the 60s, reference to Sister Smile, more popularly known as The Singing Nun, and the French song Dominique, which that person made popular in 1963.
Wow.
And I just remember the song going, Dominique, Nikki.
I don't know this.
Debbie Reynolds performs this song in the 1966 movie of The Singing Nun.
Wow.
So that's when it became popular. It was this is a 1966 song, Dominique, Nikki.
That's a deep cut joke.
And that's all I know about that song is it goes, Dominique, Nikki. So, and then the audience
what's the guitar playing part?
I don't know. It's just because it's from a song, like the daughter, like a guitar playing daughter is from the song. Maybe it was a popular.
Destiniki makes sense because it's like destiny, your decision, whatever.
So anyways, he says they go up Mount Mepos.
Yeah.
Wait there for a sign from Destiniki.
Yeah, and Larry's like, so what do? Stand around and wait for a telegram to drop out of the sky? And Balky says, well, of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
He says, when Destiniki determines that your decision is a done deal, you don't dare doubt him, dude.
I love that. Don't dare doubt him, dude. Little D alliteration.
Even before that, when Destiniki determines that your decision is a done deal, you don't dare doubt him, dude. He says you'll feel a tap on your shoulder right there, and he taps his shoulder.
Okay.
And you feel someone turn you around, and he turns around 3 times.
Okay.
And then you hear a voice whispering in this ear, and he points to his ear, and that's your answer. And then you fall down on your knees and give thanks, and he kneels down.
And then he does fall down and raise his arms up.
His arms up to the gods.
And Larry just looks at him and goes, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Just completely discrediting his whole culture and his background.
Even this many years.
He goes, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Getting your decision from some spirit named Desinexos. And Balky goes, Destiniki. Desinexos is the healer of foot fungus, which is really funny because there is a foot fungus cream called Desinex. Everyone knows Desinex, athlete's foot, ringworm, curing powder.
Desinexos. But there actually is a Desinexos.
And so I love that they kind of explain that they double down on that joke right away. With the god of healer of foot fungus.
Okay, but it's still stupid. And he's like, even if it wasn't stupid, even though it is, but even if it wasn't, you're in Chicago. Where are you going to find a mountain to climb, right? Mm-hmm. And then Balky goes, ha, you pouting Thomas.
Pouting Thomas instead of a doubting Thomas. This ha is also it's very funny because it's like slow. He goes, ah. It's a very weird ha.
He says he's gonna find his mountain, whatever, and then he excuses himself to go prepare for this whatever he's gonna do to get to a mountain for Destiniki's visitation, and he starts to put on his coat and leave, and he says, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna soak in a tub of Ovaltine.
Okay. Ovaltine. We all know what Ovaltine is, right?
It's a drink. It's
like the powder you mix into milk to make chocolate milk.
Malted chocolate milk.
It is also a delicious snack on its own by the spoonful right out of the dark brown jar with the orange lid.
Oh, yeah. We used to do that a lot.
Yes. That thing never even made it to milk. No. The Ovaltine never made it to milk.
You put it in sandwiches.
Oh, you can sprinkle it on cereal.
Yeah.
Ovaltine's amazing. Yeah. Anyways, he's going to soak in a tub of Ovaltine. And there he goes, what is that? Some kind of purification ritual? And he goes, no, it just opens up my pores.
Ovaltine?
It would scrub.
Weird.
It's like a cold, a scrub against you. But he's literally going to soak in a tub of chocolate milk is what he's saying.
I feel like this was a wordplay thing, but we just don't know what the original soak in a tub of
Epsom salts. People would soak in salts. No, there's not. It's just a funny gag.
I feel like it's a wordplay.
No, I think it's just something funny the writers randomly put together to soak in a tub of Ovaltine.
But it opens his pores.
You should try it. It'll open up your pores if your pores are clogged.
I'm not going to make it to the tub. I'm going to eat it by the spoon.
Anyways, Balky leaves. The elevator opens. It's Mr. Wainwright with Appleton. And he goes over to Larry and tells him, apparently Larry likes to slide little memos under his door every day that he never reads. But Wainwright says, believe it or not, I like one of those memos.
He says, I finally like one.
Finally like one. He's got a bunch of slips of paper in his hand. Larry's like, thank you. Which one did you like? So Wainwright likes the idea Larry had of having someone from the paper live on a billboard until the Bulls' losing streak is over. And he wants Larry to get it done immediately.
Why would you do that as a promotion for the newspaper?
Sure. I don't know. It's a stunt. It's a publicity. It's a PR stunt.
But Larry's an investigative journalist. Why is he pitching PR? He must have been
pitching him everything. It
doesn't make sense.
Maybe does this tie into the mayor thing at all in the beginning? It
doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Desperate.
I think we were stretching it. I understand what you were saying before.
But I think he's desperate for someone to listen to his ideas. For some idea he has to be used.
Were both things
just to impress the boss, to impress the mayor.
Paint a picture that he's still at the bottom of the totem pole, even though it's been years now.
He's trying. He's pitching all sorts of crazy ideas, right?
Yeah, the mayor thing still felt really disconnected. I don't know what that was for. Wainwright likes this idea, and Larry's like, "Oh, cool. Who's gonna do it?
Who's gonna do it?
Who'd you get to do
Who's
it?
gonna volunteer?"
And Wainwright's like, "Nobody volunteered. It's the middle of winter." And then he's like, "Well, it's your job to figure out which employee is gonna get up on that billboard before game time tomorrow." And Wainwright tells him that he's already tipped off the TV stations for coverage, and he's already secured a billboard, arranged to use the billboard on the top of the Macintosh building. And Larry's like, "What? I have to find someone. Who am I going to get on such short notice?" And Wainwright's like, "Well, you could do it. There's always you." And then Larry's like, No. I'm very busy." And then he reminds him that he's terrified of heights.
Oh, continuity. Remember, we've established they've done a lot of height episodes, and they've established
terrified of heights, but he keeps getting up there. Yeah,
with heights. So I like that they're bringing that back.
He says they make me hyperventilate. They make me feel like I'm having a heart attack. And Wainwright's like, "That's your problem. Ouch." And he's like, "Get someone up there by 1:00 tomorrow afternoon, or it's your job." Do bosses really talk like this? Or it's your job.
He's gonna get
now.
fired.
It's your job. So he has by 1:00 the next day.
I'm trying to see, is there a Macintosh building in Chicago? No. It's in there's one in Massachusetts. Okay, I don't know what he's referring to.
It's not Macintosh. It's spelled like
Macintosh.
I don't know from
Macintosh.
The captions were Macintosh.
They may have, I don't know. They may have fudged that. Anyways, yes, Larry, his expression is great because first he's like, you can see on his face, he's like, who am I going to get to do this? He's panicking, and suddenly he goes, oh, and a light bulb goes off. He's like,
the face acting is very good. No dialogue here, but you see his whole thought process. You're like, oh, I know someone who's looking for a high place to hang out at.
And the stunt. Okay, so the stunt to have someone sit on a billboard until the Bulls win implies that the Chicago Bulls were having a losing streak, which is crazy because Michael Jordan is playing for the Bulls at the time. Turns out they did have a slow start to the 1990-91 season, losing their first 3 games of the season. However, at this point, by the time this airs, they're probably at the end of an 11-game winning streak. They go on to win the whole season. And I believe Michael Jordan never lost 3 games in a row again after that. And
so this was just like referring back to that or hinting back to that.
Yeah, I guess it was. And then that's when, and Bulls became
that would have been before this episode was aired. Yeah. All right. So Larry has that light bulb moment. We see his face change. And we cut to back at the apartment, and Larry comes rushing home, and he's like, Balky, where are you? Come out here. I have to talk to you. And we're in the living room, right? And then Balky's bedroom door opens, and he comes out like hunched over, wearing this long, like Meposian winter coat, and this like very like vintagey kind of like backpack thing with all these things tied to it, and it's so heavy he's bent over. He's bent
over at a 90-degree angle. There's some great physical comedy coming up, and he's hunched over, and he walks over, and it's great because when he turns, you see Dimitri is packed right there. Dimitri Sheep is right there,
packed in the pack. Yeah, it's like different compartments. We can see what all the different things.
And then as he straightens up and goes, oh, hi, cousin, he goes, oh, because it's top heavy, it's weighted backwards, and he starts falling backwards, walking backwards, all the way across the living room until he slams into the
kitchen counter.
And now his body is at like a 45-degree angle, leaning on the kitchen counter.
He is
leaning backwards, and he's smushing poor Dimitri Sheep. You can see him. He landed right on top of Dimitri Sheep.
And the implication is that the weight of the backpack is pulling him back, and he's stuck, like, lying against
And then you see him physically, like, swinging his arms forward and trying to pull himself up, and he's like,
yeah.
He doesn't get, he can't. He's stuck on an angle, leaning on the kitchen counter.
And Larry sees this all. He's like, what's happening? Where are you even going? And Balky tells him that he's found a mountain.
Oh, he found a mountain.
And with any luck, Destiniki will find me, he says, and he come down and he tap me on the shoulder right here. Then he'll turn me around 3 times, and he tries to spin in place, but he can't move.
He just rolls his head around 3 times because he can't be spinning.
He can't move. And then he'll whisper my decision in my ear. So He says, if you'll excuse me, I have a 12-hour bus ride ahead of me to Mount Woolaroc.
Oh, geez. Where is this place?
Where is Mount Woolaroc?
12-hour
is that
bus
a
ride?
real mountain?
No, that's like clear across the country. You'll be halfway to California at 12-hour bus ride.
Is there a real
farther.
Mount Woolaroc?
Probably not.
Didn't they just go to a mountain?
They did.
When they thought Marianne was a killer?
They found a mountain. They were climbing a mountain. Why didn't he go to that mountain?
Yeah.
That was a lot closer because
where
Larry
was
got there.
That mountain?
I don't know. Larry got there pretty quickly in that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, he needs to find a bigger mountain. Woolaroc sounds like a made-up name.
No, I don't think it's a mountain.
No. Neither is Macintosh Building. Oh, and then at this point, he does swing his arms forward and gets off the counter and leans forward, and Larry has to catch him. And now he's leaning forward, and Larry's just holding him up, which is really funny.
And as he's holding him up, he's like he's thinking quick on his feet. He's because he wants to get Balky on this billboard. And he's like, Balky, you can't go to Mount Woolaroc. Mount Woolaroc is an Indian name meaning mountain where bad decisions are made. And then he goes, General Custer sat on Mount Woolaroc and decided to fight the Indians.
Okay, that's one reference.
Famously, we know that didn't work out well.
There's a bunch of references
here. And he goes,
here.
Somebody from the Coca-Cola company went up there and decided to change the original formula.
There's a reference number 2. That's a good line.
Shelley Long goes up there to decide which movies to make.
Wow, and then a Shelley Long dig joke at 91.
Let's explain these.
So wait, the Custer thing is he lost the battle.
Custer's last stand.
Custer's last stand. The Coca-Cola reference, yes, 1985, Coca-Cola, if y'all remember, decided to change their original formula, introduce an all-new Coke, and nobody liked it. And it bombed, and then people started...
What was it? What did it taste like?
It just tasted different. And like, if you have something you've been selling for 100 years...
People are literally addicted to it.
Change the recipe. Yeah. Some theorizing that perhaps Coke did this to actually make people want the original recipe more.
Okay, maybe.
And so when they did bring it back, Coke sales skyrocketed after plummeting when they introduced... And they never did that again.
Of course.
So that's a funny reference, like bad decision. And then Shelley Long... picking bad movies, I believe, in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. After she started on Cheers. Remember before, oh God, what was her name? The second female lead that
Diane.
No, she was Diane. Shelley Long was Diane. She was on a huge popular show, Cheers, and then she leaves and she does like Troop Beverly Hills, Don't Tell Her It's Me, Frozen Assets.
Diane Chambers.
She was Diane, but then she was replaced with, I can't remember that woman's name. She was great. Shelley Long was
Monique Alexander.
No. There was
oh, that's the parody.
Yeah. No. The Cheers second half. Who replaced Shelley Long? Search that. Shelley Long also played Carol Brady in the Brady Bunch movie in the 90s. Remember that?
Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley, yes. Kirstie Alley takes over for Shelley Long on long-running Cheers.
She left popular television series Cheers to make a bunch of bad movies.
Yeah, that is the joke. Funny. That is the Shelley Long joke, making bad decisions on the mountain. So
he pulls out all 3 of these examples, each one funny, to convince Balky that he shouldn't go to Mount Woolaroc. And it worked. Balky hears all these things and believes him about being where bad decisions are made. He's like, oh, thank you, cousin. You saved me a long trip to make a bad decision. He says, although it would have been nice to meet Shelley.
It would have been nice to meet Shelley. Well, and then when he's doing those 3 references, he throws Balky back against the counter, and then Balky gets back up again.
Teetering
it's
back.
Kind of funny.
Balky's like, well, you only half helped me, though, because now I have nowhere to go.
And then Larry lets him go again, and he falls back on the counter. And now he's despondent because he doesn't know what to do. And Larry's like, okay, we'll think of something. Now, we know Larry is trying to manipulate Balky. There's some great Larry
so he
manipulation coming up.
Plays this this fake attitude. He's like, this is funny. I think you should do this part. You were cracking up so
And he's
hard.
like, don't panic. We'll think of something. He goes, all right, let's see. Where could you go? A high place, waiting for a sign. High place, sign. High sign. High sign. High sign. Placing yourself on a high sign. I've got it. Because the billboard on top of the Macintosh building, it's a high place. It's on a sign. You get an overview. No, it would never work. He just completely deflates the thing.
But when he's like,
high,
no,
sign, high sign. High sign. high side, high place, high side.
And he's like, and then he ends with like, no, it'll never work. And Balky's like, no, cousin, don't you see the poetry of it? Waiting for a sign on a sign.
It's kind of fun.
And Larry's like, oh, you think it's good? And he's like, it's perfect. And Larry's like, well, all right, if you feel that strongly about it, I'm not going to stand in your way.
God, Larry.
He's like, now that I think about it, it does make sense. You could get a good night's sleep. You go up there just in time for tip-off. Did I say tip-off? I mean take-off. Take-off about 12:30, 12:45 at the latest.
Basketball game, tip-off.
Yeah. So Balky didn't catch that.
And yes, Balky's very happy. He's like, cousin, how can I thank you?
Yeah.
And he eventually gets up with Larry, but he gets up so hard he pushes Larry down, and the weight of the backpack makes him fall all the way to the door. He bounces off the front door, and falls backwards over the sofa
onto the couch. Yeah,
onto
over the back.
the couch with facing up.
So it just ended on
Larry
more physicality.
And okay, I'm just gonna mention. You notice there's something on the floor to the right of the sofa.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. We'll get back to that.
A toy of some sort.
Yes, some kind of box, some kind of toy. I don't know what it is, but we cut to an exterior shot of a red building in downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
With some superimposed things on the roof of it. There is a superimposed billboard which looks like a windmill and a radio tower next to it, clearly superimposed.
Yeah, and a plane.
There's a plane flying by, and the plane does not look like it's in the shot at all.
So funny.
Yes, it's all superimposed things.
So we get that establishing shot, then we zoom in and we see that the billboard is advertising Holland deodorant. It says on there, the slogan is keep you fresh as a tulip. And then on the left side,
this is a pretty nice, impressive set here.
A big windmill and what do you call those things?
The windmill,
arms of the windmill?
leaves, wings, the things that spin around.
Called? Yeah, like the
mill of the windmill. I don't know.
Helicopter.
They're called
wings?
No. What are those called? Blades. Blades of the windmill.
Of the windmill. And they're moving. They're rotating on this billboard. And then also at the base of the windmill is like this can of deodorant.
A large, oversized can of deodorant.
Giant,
it just goes off
aerosol.
Yes.
And between the blades, between the passing of the moving blades, it like blows, it sprays
just goes
deodorant
off seemingly randomly.
Forward into the air.
As the windmill pushes the deodorant out into the air.
Yeah. So it's a pretty intricate billboard. Holland, and get it, the windmill, because it's Holland deodorant.
Yes, there's tulips on the billboard. It's yellow and red.
Dutch.
Yes, it's a very Dutch thing. Keeps you fresh as a tulip.
Yeah.
And we see a ladder, and we see Larry, who is afraid of heights, really carefully climbing up this ladder, and he gets up on the billboard.
Okay, first of all, how come in every single sitcom world they have these flimsy, like single panel wooden ladders?
Listen, that's what they had
up
before.
To the top of the roof of a skyscraper.
They didn't have the fancy aluminum ladders.
They don't
I guess.
have like the secure kind. Like they just have these flimsy ladders that they lean against.
Wooden ladder that you
like
need
an upstairs bedroom.
Yeah, it's your traditional ladder. I mean, we see
traditional sitcom.
It's the same prop that they had.
I've never once seen that ladder in real life.
No. They used this when they were flipping that house and they did the ladder bit on the shoulder. Yeah. I'm sure it's the same ladder.
What movie did we just watch? Did I just watch where they're like, it was in Only Murders in the Building. Just go in. You can go in anywhere if you have a ladder.
Yeah, if you're carrying a ladder. they tried to walk into you. It's true. It's a ladder or like balloons. People let you in anywhere. If you're carrying balloons, you're like, I got a delivery. They're like,
flowers,
come on in.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the scene that we're looking at.
It's an impressive set they have built here.
And there's like a phone tower or something, a transmission tower to the side of the billboard on the roof.
Some more fun physical comedy as Larry has climbed up and he's like, okay, Balky, you can do it. And he's like, he's like, don't look down. He's petrified. And Balky climbs up pretty easily without a care in the world.
With all that stuff on his back.
With that heavy pack on. And then right when he gets up, he's standing on the edge of the billboard with his back to us. And almost starts to fall. He starts to fall
back.
Weight of he's going to fall off the whole billboard.
Oh, my gosh.
And Larry goes, and he grabs him.
Plummeting to his death.
He grabs him and pulls him forward and slams his face into the billboard. Like he bumps his nose as he tries to keep him from falling with this.
Yeah, I gotta say, all this
heavy
physical comedy on
backpack.
this billboard gave me a little anxiety.
It is. It's a little. I mean, I'm sure they're like 5 feet off the ground, but yeah, they're like
But they were showing this shot of the street.
Yeah,
like,
they cut
top.
to a shot of it, and there's like the heavy wind machine going.
Yeah,
so you really get the feeling that they're like in some kind of danger.
Yeah.
So Balky takes off.
Yeah, it's windy.
Yeah, it's constantly windy.
Cold up
he
there.
takes off his backpack. And he's like, Cousin, this reminds me of Mount Mepos. Absolutely. And he walks over to the other side where the blades of the windmill are spinning. He goes, it reminds me of Mount Mepos, except there are no goats and no eagle's nests and no threat of volcanic eruption. And actually, it doesn't remind me of Mount Mepos at all. But I love it. And he's like, I love it. I
love it.
And he starts dancing a little jig on the edge of the billboard as the windmill
he has
blades
to be on the edge because the blades are spinning, so he can't be back.
And Larry is just freaking out watching this.
And Larry's like, get away from the edge.
And then this is a hilarious bit as he slides over.
He slides over. He tries to pull him back, but like he's like glued to the back of the wall because he's so scared, the back of the billboard. But when he slides over by the windmill and goes up back, he sees the blades coming in front of him, and he has to step forward
real quick
because it's like flush up against the back of the. So he has to step forward to the edge of the billboard where Balky is as the blades pass
because
behind
they're
him.
assuming there's no space behind the blades.
And then
he steps back as the blade passes.
Between the blades. Then another blade comes and he has to step forward again.
The timing
all the way
is so
to the
funny
edge.
because he does it at the very last second. He'll step forward and it has his face where he's like, ah! And meanwhile, Balky's out there goes, Cousin, I can see the park from here. As Larry's stepping forward and backward. He's like, do you think my little pigeon friends, Steve and Steve and Edie ever come up here?
Edie.
And Larry is just like, well, you don't. He's like, well, you forget about Steve and Edie. And Balky just wants them to know it's a nice place to visit. And Larry's like, stop fooling around.
He starts like cooing.
Steve and Edie is a reference to the singers Steve Lawrence and his wife Edie Gorm, who are known for their renditions of popular songs. And they had a like TV variety show special. Okay. Steve and Edie. A lot of people knew them. I think this was in the 70s. There's
so many references.
So many crazy old references, yes. But I mean, back then, it wasn't as long ago as we think, I guess, for these references.
Yeah.
It's like now, if you're referencing literally something from the 90s or the 2000s, that's about the same time, which is kind of crazy. And then a random thing happens.
Yeah, very random from audience perspective is that Balky suddenly pulls out from his pocket like an action figure, a wrestling action figure.
It looks like a little Hulk Hogan.
And he like puts it in Larry's face and he puts on maybe a Hulk Hogan voice.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll punch you into next week and then I'll find you and I'll drop kick you into last month. He's screaming at him in this like wrestling voice. I was like, okay, that is random.
And then the deodorant goes off and they almost fall off the edge.
Because it blows them forward. Yeah.
And then they do something weird is then they hop back on the sign and they slide behind the blades.
Yeah.
It was
so
easily.
The whole time. They could have fit the whole time.
There was okay, so the wrestling bit, I was like, what? Why did he just pull out a wrestling figure? Apparently there was some stuff cut from the script from earlier shootings where when they're in the apartment, he's showing him everything he's packed. And he's like, oh, I even brought my little wrestling guy. And he does the same lines, the same bit, and I think that's what fell on the floor in that shot. But then you take that out, and this is like,
makes no sense. Like
pull out a wrestling figure just to be goofy.
Why did they?
Sure.
Why did they leave that
you got
second
a cut
part
for
in?
time.
Yeah.
This would have been a hard cut. Like all this stuff happens because now they slide back over. They do.
Yeah.
They show us a street view again.
Yeah.
Precariously, and then they hop back and
all
slide back
editing.
over.
Yeah, they had to just keep it. And
I mean, I'm sure someone was like, "Doesn't that seem random now?" And they were like, "You know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's Balky is goofy.
People will laugh.
Yes, doesn't matter." And then Balky looks down and notices something on the street level as Larry pulls him back. He goes, "Cousin, there's television cameras down there, and all kind of people. Why are they looking at us?"
Now they're back on the other side of the billboard, away from the blades by the ladder.
They're blades.
He's like, "What are they looking at us?" And Larry just says, "Well, there's more than a little interest in your decision about your new job."
Still refusing to tell Balky the truth. He has got to continue this farce.
Balky believes him. Yes. He looks over and yells down to the crowd, As soon as I know, you'll know.
Larry's like, I don't think they can hear you, Balky.
And then Larry's about to go back because he's terrified. He wants to go back down, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, I'll just leave you up here, let you get settled, wait for your decision. Larry starts to like go over the ladder, and Balky's all the way over to the right of the billboard. And he's like, cousin, what do you want? And Larry's like, what? And Balky's like, did you just tap me on the shoulder? And Larry's not even near him. It happened very quickly. Destiniki came so fast. Larry's not even near him. He's like, no. And he starts to go down the ladder. And Balky, we see in the background, Balky feels the tap on the shoulder. And then he spins around. Although he did say 3 times in this, he actually spins 4 times.
And while Larry is climbing down the ladder going, start in on your decision. Take all the time you need. It's something you don't want to rush into.
And Balky hears the decision in his ear.
He holds up his hand.
And then he suddenly drops down to one knee and puts his arms up in praise. And Larry's going on. He's like, if it were me, I'd take 2, maybe 3 weeks. And Balky's like, done. He got his decision. And Larry looks up to see him like bent down on one knee.
With his arms up.
And he says, well, I can see you're doing some kind of meditation. And I'm just going to go. And Balky jumps up and he's like, no, I'm coming with you.
What?
And Larry's like, no. And he's trying to and Balky puts his foot over the ladder and Larry's like trying to move his foot back onto the billboard. He's like, get off the ladder. And then finally Larry bites Balky's leg to get him off the ladder.
At that point, Larry leans back and the ladder and him start falling back.
Oh
and then
my God,
Balky grabs him, pulls him forward. And then Balky grabs his head and yanks him up off the ladder back onto the
billboard. Terrifying. Yes. And so they're like pushing each other around, trying not to fall off.
This is very dangerous.
There's like, what is the matter with you? You have to stay here. You have an important decision to make. And Balky tells him, oh no, cousin, Destiniki was here. I'm done. I have my answer.
Oh boy, it happened so quickly.
He's like, can't you see my newfound knowledge has me glowing like my Pee Wee Herman nightlight? And then he makes this like Pee Wee Herman face.
Yeah, he puts his hands up and sticks his tongue out. That must be what his nightlight looks like. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's got a Pee Wee Herman nightlight. Yes.
And Larry's like, no, this is too important a decision. Larry just doesn't believe that it already happened.
Yes,
He's like, you have to stay.
Yeah, he didn't look, nobody expected it to happen so quickly. He was hoping it would take him many weeks.
And so they're both standing on the platform of this billboard. And Larry's like, you have to stay. And Balky's like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. And then Larry takes one foot and kicks forward the ladder.
Oh, boy.
So that it falls away from the platform and like just drops and they're stuck on the billboard. And then Balky goes, yes, I do.
Oh, my God, Larry. You are a maniac.
Now he's got them both stuck up there.
That's great.
Larry's stakes here are that he needs Balky to stay or else he'll lose his job, I guess.
His job is at stake, listener. Are they going to get off the billboard? We're going to find out. But first, you can join this conversation. Join our Facebook group. It's lots of fun. You can comment on the episodes we record. We will roll in your comments into the end of the show and share them. And you're part of the show that way. And you get to meet other listeners of this podcast and fans of Perfect Strangers. There is a link in the episode description. Click it. Join it.
Join us. It's lots of fun.
Geek out about the cousins.
Act 2. We're right where we left off with the 2 cousins stuck on the billboard with no ladder. And Balky is looking at Larry like, I can't believe what you've just done. He wants to believe it was an accident, but he saw him kick it down. And Larry just goes, I did it for you. I did it to keep you from rushing into a bad career decision. Shouldn't you be getting another opinion? Isn't there someone else you can call? Opinioniki? Futurini? What should I do, Kanukoniki?
He's making fun of
He's so rude.
He's a whole way of life, but it's kind of funny. What should I do?
And Balky finally has realized that something is going on.
Something's up. He's like, I want the truth and I want it now.
And Larry says, all right. And he sighs and takes a breath. He goes, there's a crazed assassin loose in the Chronicle and he's after you and this is the only place you'll be safe.
Larry just cannot come clean about anything. And Balky knows this and goes, cut the Baba Steaky.
And Larry goes, all right. The real truth. The real truth But I want you to know I resent being pushed this far.
He resents being pushed to tell the truth. That's hilarious.
He says, I suggested to Wainwright that somebody live on this billboard until the Bulls' losing streak ended, and he loved the idea and told me to get someone to do it. And I'm afraid of heights, so I tricked you into coming here. And Balky still doesn't believe it. He's like, liar, liar, pants for hire.
Pants for hire instead of pants on fire. You get hot, like, you rent your pants
out. Just tell me the truth. And then Larry's like, no, that is the truth. And then now he has to convince him that that's the truth. He's like, doesn't it sound like something I would do? This is Larry talking.
Yeah, about himself. Here's his character traits.
Doesn't it sound like something I would do? It's selfish.
Check.
Manipulative.
Check.
Uncaring.
Check.
And Balky's like, oh, it does kind of sound like something you would do, actually. He said, but usually I have to threaten you with bodily harm to get to the truth. And so Larry's like, no, that's the truth.
And now it hits Balky, and he's really mad because he realizes he just used Balky. Larry does not care anything about his future.
He's just caring about his own.
And of course, as usual, and now Larry is apologizing. He says he's sorry, and he's trying to make up for it. He goes, I'm sorry I lied. I promise I'll never do it again. And Balky just looks at him and goes, like, we all know you're going to do this again. You've done this several times.
And then Larry goes, all right, I'll try to never do it again.
And Balky goes,
he says, all right, I'll try never to do it again today.
And Balky's like, well, I guess that's as close as we're going to get. Okay,
that's
first
funny.
of all, there's so
really
many funny things here. There's so many funny things. The fact that Balky didn't believe Larry when he gets to the truth.
Yeah.
Because he has lied so many times. He's cried wolf so many times. The fact that Larry describes himself as selfish, manipulative, uncaring. And then the fact that all he can promise is, I promise never to do this again today.
Try never to do it again.
He's going to promise to try to not do it just today. Tomorrow he can come up with another manipulation.
And Balky takes it. And at the end of all that, he says, I forgive you.
And Balky takes all of this abuse and says, I forgive you.
I forgive you.
And they say thank you, and they hug it out.
And they almost fall off the platform.
Yes, while they're hugging, of course.
And they're like, ah!
And here, conflict resolved. That's simple.
That's simple. He just
lied to him and manipulated him and thought he was an idiot and
just has to
condescending.
Apologize.
And all he has to do is sorry and try not to do it again today.
I forgive you came too easy. Like he didn't even have to explain. But I'm so caught up. It's my job. This and that. Blah.
He
blah.
could have said.
He could have just said Wainwright was going to fire me. So I need you.
But he could also just ask Balky to do it because Wainwright was going to fire him. But
that's true too. He didn't have to lie at all.
We learned a lot about how Larry sees himself. And how Balky is forgiving.
I think the apology, the forgiveness was kind of forced on us. I didn't really buy, I don't know.
Him just admitting all of his bad points is so funny.
So they got everything straightened out. They hugged, they made up, but they're still stuck on this billboard.
Still stuck on the billboard.
And Larry's like, well, not necessarily. If the Bulls win, someone will be up here to get us and we'll be home free. He's like, oh, by the way, the game's on now. Did you bring a radio? And Balky says, well, of course I did. Don't be ridiculous.
Second time. We got it a second time.
Why? Because the TV wouldn't fit in my backpack.
But we saw him packing a TV in that one camping episode. Yeah, but there's no way you're carrying that up a billboard.
So he goes to the pack and gets out this little transistor radio.
This is
we used to have with antennas.
This is radio. It's a free over the air.
I had one like this,
Wi-Fi internet radio.
I had one for a long time,
It was the second most.
Where you turn the dial and you hear shh, shh, shh.
The second most popular form of entertainment, if you didn't have a television,
was radio.
Yeah.
So they turn it on. They find the game. We hear a sports announcer saying, what a basketball game we have here. At a record-setting pace, the Bulls have scored 22 unanswered points. The score at the end of the first quarter is Bulls 34, Knicks 6.
Oh, boy.
Huge lead.
All right.
So Larry's all excited. He's like, great. They have a huge lead. In a couple hours, we'll be back in our apartment. Nice and safe. And then we dissolve to...
No, they do another one of those 3D rotating
they did? I totally missed that,
And again, we see a caption from SpongeBob.
2 days later.
Several days later. It's been 2 days
2 days. We're still on the billboard. They have like beards growing
as the camera pans, you see like some clothing on one of the blades of the billboard as it's spinning around.
Oh my gosh.
Balky is just in like a tank top.
Yeah, like an undershirt.
Yeah, they got a whole like coal portable barbecue setup with some pots. And Larry is stirring some liquid.
A chair came from somewhere.
There is a lamp, and the hilarious part right next to Larry, there is a picture of Marianne and Dimitri the sheep.
Dimitri, they don't
sitting right next to him.
Fly off in the wind.
Just sitting there out in the open with a picture of Marianne and all the stuff they had packed, and he's like cooking. We think they're cooking.
We're doing something. There's a fire. He's got a chair from somewhere. Yeah, like a camping
they both have
chair.
a little bit of stubble also. Yeah.
And Balky's like is in an undershirt, and then all we hear is Larry going, "I can't believe the Bulls blew a 28-point lead."
Jeez, they blew a 28-point lead.
Oh my goodness! I wonder what the Bulls thought about this episode.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, because they name drop. We'll see. They name drop MJ later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's full. But he's a big Bulls fan. Remember?
Yeah, remember. He's a big Bulls fan. Wait, what was that episode about?
That was where he lies to Jennifer because he gets courtside tickets and almost jeopardizes his whole
we're like,
engagement.
Why wouldn't you just take her?
Why don't you just take Jennifer?
Stupid.
Wainwright knows I'm a huge Bulls fan. Now it's been established that he's a huge Bulls fan. So Balky is upset because
he
has
blew
been
a 28-point lead.
Yes,
and they've been up there for 2 days.
And Balky says he's been listening to this for 2 days. If you say it one more time, I'm going to throw you off the billboard. And Larry says he won't mention again. So what is Larry cooking, actually? Out of the little pot, he pulls out a sock.
A sock.
And then Balky takes the sock and wrings it out. He walks over to...
They're like doing laundry.
They're doing laundry. He walks over...
After only 2 days? Come on.
He walks over to the windmill. He tacks the sock on the windmill. And as it comes around, he pulls the sweater... The red sweatshirt off the windmill and walks back and puts it on. It was just drying.
Yeah.
This is their
They're
laundry.
doing laundry after only 2 days on the top of whatever.
They got to clean their socks. Oh, while he's over there getting his red sweater, the deodorant goes off.
Yeah. He just raises his arm in front of it.
His arm on both sides, turns around, puts the shirt on, and goes back and he smells himself and goes, yep, fresh as a tulip.
Fresh as a tulip.
It's so silly. They've been up there living for 2 days.
And then there's another little like pan on a little camping grill. And Balky looks at it. He says, "Cousin, you haven't even touched your breakfast. Your yak links are getting cold."
He brought yak links. Of course he did.
And Larry just goes, "I don't want to look at another yak link. I'm sick of yak links. Didn't you bring any other kind of food?" And here we learn about yak links because Balky says yak links are nature's perfect food. He could be an influencer.
Yeah. I thought there'd be more of him explaining why it's nature's perfect food. Yeah. He just says it's nature's perfect food.
Maybe there was more that was cut.
I want to know why. But Larry's freaking out. He says he has to get off this billboard. He says they're going to freeze to death. And Balky reminds him, look, there's another Bulls game on tonight. If they win, we can be home in time for supper. And Larry's like, you're right. We still have a chance. And then he says, any team with Michael Jordan is bound to win. And he grabs the radio, and they turn the radio on so they can hear what's going on. They hear the Bulls pregame show, and they hear the announcer.
And the announcer says, "Good afternoon, and welcome to the Bulls pregame show, and a special hello to those two guys on the billboard waiting for the Bulls to win."
Balky goes, "Cousin, that's us. He mentioned us. We're famous."
And another special hello to Michael Jordan, who is home in bed with the flu.
There he goes, what? Oh, no.
Larry does like a loud what? Balky jumps. He startles Balky. He's like, what? And then the announcer says, luckily, the Bulls only have to play one game without Michael. Then they've got a 5-day layoff after today, and that should be plenty of time for him to get back on his feet.
Oh, boy.
And he's like, this is good news for everybody except those two jerks on the billboard.
Balky's like, cousin, he mentioned us.
Why do they think they're jerks?
Yeah. And they went from like, hello to these two guys to the two jerks on the billboard. Jerks.
So what if we learned that
Michael is sick.
Larry has a lot of faith in Michael Jordan winning games.
Michael is sick, and after tonight, they're off for 5 days.
For 5 days. So if they lose tonight, they're stuck for another 5 days.
So that announcer, incidentally, voiced by a Perfect Strangers writer.
Oh.
Tom Amundsen, uncredited voice of the radio announcer, goes on to do voice on projects like Titanic, Mulan, and Shrek.
Oh, good for him.
He did had a little voiceover career. And Larry is so incensed. He goes, I don't believe this. He grabs the radio and just
flings it off
the billboard into the street. And they watch it slow. They watch it a long time. Watch it go down.
And you see their face like kind of get panicked.
And then you hear like tires squealing and horns honking. I'm like, Larry, you could have really hurt somebody.
Yeah, you hear like screeching.
The thing off of the billboard. What are you doing throwing radios off a billboard?
But Larry is like, had it. He's like, I can't stay up here another 5 days. I can't stay up here another 5 minutes. We got to get off this billboard. He says, if we stay up here, we'll either freeze to death or the wind will blow us off. And he goes, Balky, I have a plan.
Oh, that's great. They get the old, a plan.
What is Larry's plan? He is looking at these rotating blades of the windmill.
Yeah.
And how close on the outside edge of the billboard, how close the edges of the blades are getting to the radio transmitting tower.
Uh-huh.
He's like, if we could get on one of those blades and then try to reach out and grab the tower, and then we can climb down the tower because it has these like rungs and stuff. Like,
yep.
It's like a structure, like a jungle gym, and we can climb down the tower. And Balky's like, but what if we fall off? And he goes, then we'll be in a nice warm hospital. He's just thinking, he's just miserable up there.
I mean, it's kind of uncharacteristic of Larry to take this huge risk, but they have no other choice for him to come up with this idea that could get him hurt.
Yeah.
He would never do that. But he's like, either way, we'll be down or we'll be in a hospital. And he goes, all right, ready? And he starts to walk over. He goes, when the blades come around, I'll grab the first one. You grab the second one. Hang on until it swings us over the transmitter, then grab on. And Bucky's like, okay. So what do they proceed to do?
So they do something which caused me to have a very deep thought process in my head about how to do this better. Because actually, it could have worked if they did it a different way. But these blades made sense to us.
These blades have this little platform in front, right?
On the edge.
And they also have these two loops.
Yeah.
That I thought they were going to like put their feet in. They do not put their feet in. The loops are behind them. But Larry steps on.
I'm thinking like American Ninja Warrior. You could like totally hang off the side of it
one with one hand, and then as it pulls you around,
yourself over and catch the tower on the other side.
That's not what they do. They stand on the blade.
Yeah, like they're standing in a doorway, but like that, but like on this.
Which all that means is as the blade rotates.
They go upside down.
They go upside down, and there's no way you can swing over.
And their arms are like closer to the top of their body is closer to the center of the windmill, so they're far away from the edge.
And they try to grab the transistor.
It makes no sense.
Bucky and Larry both jump on, and apparently there were harness for this because it's really funny because it goes upside down, and they're just hanging there like they don't fall. Like to us, there's nothing holding them on there. Right. I'm like, how are they not falling? They're just standing on the thing. That's why I thought they would put their feet in those loops, but they didn't use those loops.
And they kind of just get stuck rotating around this windmill.
They're just slowly rotating around the windmill.
They can't reach the tower at all.
No, they can't.
I think they could have if they just did it Ninja Warrior style.
Yeah, if you hang as it goes, that's
swing
different.
yourself, yeah.
And as they're spinning, Bucky's like, Cousin, this reminds me of the Myposian World's Fair. They had one rather large woman on it. The human rotisserie. It reminds me of a rotisserie chicken.
And then we like kind of zoom out and see like that establishing shot, except like with their bodies outlined on the windmill blades. Yeah. And then we hear them just screaming, help!
Bucky's like, Mama!
Help!
And we don't see them actually get off.
No, they do somehow get off because we cut to the next scene, which is the next day, and we're back in the basement of the Chronicle. They're back at work, so they got off somehow, and they are reading the story in the newspaper or caption or something. They're looking at it, and they read... Larry's reading Chronicle employees Larry Appleton and Balky Bartakamus cling to the windmill on the Holland deodorant sign shortly before their rescue.
That's how they got off. They got rescued. And Larry's just looking at it and he just goes, I look like a bat. And of course he says this is all his fault. Yes, Larry.
Good job.
He said if he hadn't thrown the radio, he would have heard the Bulls won the game without Michael Jordan. And they wouldn't have had to get stuck on the stupid windmill.
But how did they get stuck? They could have gotten off just as easily as they got on.
Just step off when it comes back around. You didn't think about that? No, they didn't think about it. They were stuck on the blades, spinning.
Yeah, but that's not the part that's his fault. He should have...
Well, the whole thing is his fault.
Yeah, but this line makes no sense because what is he atoning for?
For smashing the radio and making them step on the blades. know.
But like the rest of it was still his fault that they were even stuck on the billboard to begin with. He's just talking about getting stuck on the blades, like the very last part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that's where he looked like a bat get stuck on I don't know. A lot of this episode didn't make sense to me. Anyway.
But it's like, it was very cartoony. Like,
it was very cartoony.
He's got fun.
Balky's like, well, let's try to see the bright side. We got sprayed with so much deodorant, we'll never sweat again.
They have permanent deodorant on.
Just then, Mr. Wainwright exits the elevator and joins them in the basement. And he's like, Appleton, Bartogamus. He tells them, nice work on that, that gimmick, that promotion. He says it was a great idea. It created a lot of publicity for the paper and for the Bulls. And he says it was a great idea, Appleton. And Larry thanks him, but he says Balky deserves the credit.
Oh, that's big of him.
That's nice. Big of him because it was Balky he
tricked into going up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I don't necessarily agree with that either because they both stuck it out and did it. So they both get the credit. Anyway. He says Balky deserves the credit. So then Wainwright goes, okay, well, I guess I'll give these to you. And he hands Balky an envelope. And Balky's like, thank you, but what is it? And Wainwright explains that the Bulls were so pleased with the publicity that they've given him 2 courtside tickets for the remainder of the season. That's like for every game.
Yeah, that's great.
That's cool, courtside. And Balky is very excited. He's like, oh, Mr. Wainwright. And Wainwright has learned Balky. He's been working with. So Wainwright's like, oh, he's going to hug me now. And he opens his arms.
He's expecting the hug instead of the handshake. And what does Balky do?
And Balky leans forward a little and then puts up his hand and with no accent, completely American, goes, thank you so much.
It's so weird. It's so random. It's so funny.
Thank you so much. Bronson Pinchot voice. Yeah.
Yes, Wainwright has gotten used to it and he wanted the hug. And Balky just goes, thank you so much.
I know, so sad. He was excited for the hug.
It's so funny.
And Wainwright's like, all right, enjoy them. And he leaves. Okay. And then Balky's like, got these tickets, and Larry is stunned. He's like, oh no. And Larry's like, oh, obviously, I got to get him to take me with him.
Yeah, because Balky just walks away and starts to go for his jacket. Yeah. Has not said anything to Larry about anything.
And then Larry's like, oh, Balky, I'm sorry for all the trouble I've caused you the last couple of days. And Balky's like, that's okay, but I have a bigger problem to solve now. I have to figure out who to give this other ticket to. And he's like, that's a big decision. I guess I'm pretty much on my way back up to the Billboard.
He puts his coat on. He's heading back up to the Billboard.
He's more Destiny.
Yeah.
And then he puts on his jacket. He starts to walk out. Larry's like, he's so sad.
Yeah, he's so sad
pathetic.
And shocked. And Balky turns around, smiles at him, and then Larry starts to smile, and Balky walks towards him, and Larry's getting excited, and Balky just reaches past him and grabs an envelope.
Grabs some mail
and
or something.
turns around and walks away, and Larry's face again drops into despair.
And we're waiting for some big joke at the end, but they just wrap it up very simply. He turns around. He's like, oh, come on, cousin. I'm just teasing. Of course, you can have the other ticket. And they hug and roll credits.
Yeah, but Larry has this pathetic smile when he says that.
I don't even know what this lesson was that he learned, though.
There is no lesson time, listener. Before we get into our thoughts, though, check out our TeePublic shop, danceofjoypod.com/shop.
No lesson time.
We'll get you there. And there's stuff to purchase like t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and fun things with
Destiniki.
We need a Destiniki t-shirt and a Desinexos Foot Fungus t-shirt. We should make those. I haven't made any of these t-shirt ideas. One day I will.
One day.
Don't worry. And when I do, they'll be at danceofjoypod.com/shop.
Yes. All right. What did you think overall of this episode?
I mean, if you think about it, it gave us a lot of the hits, right? It gave us them singing
conventions of
in
the
harmony.
Show,
yes, the stuff we love. It gave us physical comedy.
Of Don't Be Ridiculous.
It gave us 2 Don't Be Ridiculous. It gave us Dimitri Sheep involved in the plot. It gave us
song and dance,
Maposian, more Maposian, silly Maposian culture.
That's right.
Larry manipulating and being a horrible person to Balky to get him stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is like also a trope, like a TV trope of getting stuck somewhere with somebody.
Which they've done.
They've done that with the cabin on the roof.
Yeah.
A lot of height episodes.
Yeah.
So, and then
in a sleeping bag.
The feathers, the goose feather. The goose
hopping,
down in this bag.
Hopping.
Feathers. Goose feathers.
There's
back when the show was
goose down in this bag.
in its prime. And, the little reversal of Wainwright giving Balky the tickets, Wainwright expecting the hug and not getting the hug.
There was a lot of cuteness, but I know I'm going to sound like I agree with all that, but I'm going to sound like a broken record because the last several episodes I've been talking about steaks.
Alliteration? We got alliteration?
We did get alliteration.
Yeah, it has everything.
I know I keep talking about steaks, but it's just that in these later episodes, they're really slacking on making them believable.
Sure.
And once again... sure, it's his job, but like they didn't build that up enough for us to believe that it would be his job. I don't know. Like it just
he says it's your you find someone, and then Larry just like sticks to this lie for so long, and then that huge section where he just reveals who he's aware of how
the mayor part was
the mayor
weird
was random, but he's aware of how bad of a person he is, and that he lies,
and then
nobody will ever
make
believe him.
Up. And then Balky tries to be upset, but then in 2 seconds he's over it.
You lied to me again for the 100th time.
None of it really felt real, but I guess I should stop looking for it to try to feel real.
Hey, you know what? As far as like fun things, Balky says it in this episode. He goes, that's as close as we're gonna get. So this season 6 is as close as we're gonna get. They have all like the ingredients there.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's kind of timeless, kind of the whole thing. So
yeah,
it's tropey.
It's tropey.
The singing was fantastic.
But I tell you what, my brain really did stop and exit the story about, and I thought for a long time about the mechanics of using the windmill to get to the
First
tower.
First of all, that windmill would not even hold them. It would just snap right off.
Yeah.
That's why it was great. It was cartoony. It was
like steel. It was
silly
steel.
And ridiculous and cartoony.
It was very cartoony. Even at the apartment with the backpack, the way his body bent backward and forward was very cartoony.
So fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. I'll give it a B+.
I mean, it was a solid
there's Bulls, contextual Bulls.
Oh yeah. Bulls
references.
It has all the ingredients and it's kind of harmless.
There's that excellent set of jokes about bad decisions.
Oh yeah, there's all the reference to the Coca-Cola Charlie Long. Like they give you everything. There's a lot in here. So yeah. Okay. I mean, it's decent.
There was a lot. Yeah.
It's for this season.
It just felt there were just a couple of weird parts like the wrestling doll and the whole intro about the mayor. Like I don't know what that served.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give it a B+. For this season, it was good. Probably if it's weighted, yeah.
What did our listeners think, sister?
First up, we have listener cousin Pam Hitchcock, who loved this episode from the song and dance duet to the very end, and Mark Lynn Baker's excellent long holding of that note. To the very end. She loved it throughout. Among other things, she says, I kept cracking up about the Dominiki Niki
See,
joke.
some people get that down.
I didn't know that joke. She also takes note that Larry is continuing to make fun of Balky's customs even after all these years.
We'll never accept them.
And she asks a very important question that I feel like is tied into why I didn't buy the stakes of this. I don't know. She says, why does Larry seem to be a low man on the totem pole after 3 years at the Chronicle? And wasn't it his dream to be a photojournalist?
No, he has abandoned the photojournalism. He just
totally gave up.
He wants to be an investigative reporter.
Yeah.
For 3 years, he can't get anywhere out of the basement. That's why he's pitching all these dumb things to Wainwright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just pitching promotions and stuff.
Yeah. Publicity, not hard-hitting investigative.
Yeah, how is being...
You know what? Because Mushmouth and Whirlpool are getting all those gigs.
Maytag and
Whirlpool are getting all those
but
stories.
How is that even in his job description to pitch
No, that is the marketing department's job.
You wouldn't do that if you were a reporter.
That's the marketing. The paper has marketing department, I would imagine.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have anything to do with
that. But he's so desperate. Anything to get Mr. Wainwright to... say he's done a good job.
I guess. So then Cousin Pam also writes, Balky never did reveal the answer Destiniki gave him, but he's still in the mailroom, so I guess that's the answer.
I was dying the whole time going, what did Destiniki tell you? What did he tell you to do?
Obviously, he has to stay because that's one of the 2 sets of the show. He has to stay working with Cousin Larry.
Well,
same workplace.
It would have been nice to have been like Destiniki said, stay, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah,
just some kind of
maybe they had it in secret, and it got cut.
We're never going to find out what he actually said and whether he listened to it.
And Cousin Pam gives this episode 10 Bibi Bobkas.
Oh, that's a perfect Bibi Bobka
positive scale.
That's a perfect score. She really liked it. All right, good.
All right, next up we have listener Cousin Nicole Stoner, who reminds us that Perfect Strangers has done height-related episodes in the past. Like we said, the mountain and the rooftop and the top of the snow cabin after the avalanche. That's kind of height-related. I don't know.
Yeah.
But despite being another episode involving height, there are lots of things I enjoy about this one. We've got singing, cousins, alliteration, and as a bonus, continuity remembering Larry's fear of heights.
Yeah.
She writes, I noticed a few background details too, such as the cousins holding hands when they're scared and Balky waving to the crowd as Larry prepares to descend the ladder. I found it charming. Also, did that radio shatter a car windshield?
Did somebody could have got killed.
Yeah.
That would have led to
it sounded like
either hit a car and there's an accident and dude runs into somebody. It could have caved someone's skull in. It's a not safe thing to do.
Yeah, all fair points, all good questions.
There's a lot of good things though, but people really...
it's a weird episode because we don't really like the... It's another one where you're like,
the girls aren't in it.
It was just a stunt and they wrote a story around it and it was a weak story, but the girls aren't in it, which we know from research. Yeah. Studies show that the episodes without the girlfriends are better. Yeah.
But it has all the foundation of what...
It has the conventions of the show that we particularly enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have listener Cousin Whitney Smith, who also loved the opening number.
Yeah.
The song and dance, I've been working in the mailroom. And everybody loved the long note hold by Marklyn Baker. And this is interesting. She's like, I know a lot of the other cousins in our group, including you and me, brother, say we always point out when Larry's dumping on Balky's culture and not respecting it, making fun of it. But cousin Whitney Smith says it doesn't really bother me. Some of it is kind of funny, and Balky always has the good luck in the end. So
it does always work out for Balky.
Yeah, so it always works out. We see all the different. She liked that we saw all the different sides of Larry: manipulative, greedy, etc. She also did not like that Wainwright keeps treating Larry like some low-level guy even though it's been 3 years he's been there.
There's no advancement of the Chronicle.
No advancement.
No career.
You got to stay in the basement for the show to work.
In the basement, you're gonna be stuck in the basement.
Because if he moves out of the basement, then Balky would have to move with him.
Then you got to make an excuse to have Balky. I mean, they tried to put Balky in an office, right? In that whole thing. Remember, it was the.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, he didn't have a problem leaving the basement then.
Yeah.
Oh no, but he's still. Oh, they did give him an office. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they gave him a whole office up there.
She loved the Pee Wee Herman nightlight reference and the little play out. She's a big fan of Pee Wee Herman, as we all have been. R.I.P. Paul Rubens. Yeah, and basically agrees with the others. Cousin Whitney Smith says it was a pretty decent episode.
See, baby, the group liked
and the de-alliteration was
really
enjoyable.
This episode.
The cousins did interesting. Why are we diverging from our fan base here? Let's see what Cousin John Adama had to say. Cousin John writes, this episode, like many, feels like the writers had a visual gag and worked backward from there. I agree completely. But it's a fun gag and a relatively plausible story compared with the others that we've seen recently. Plus, I enjoy it whenever Larry shows some self-awareness. Sure, it was silly, but it charmed me. That's actually a really good way. It was silly, didn't make sense, but it was charming.
Charming, yeah.
He writes, a perfect introductory episode, and it's introductory.
Meaning you could show this to someone for the show, and they will get it.
Gotcha.
They will grasp the concept of the show.
Perfect introductory episode.
To Perfect Strangers.
It's been a while since we've seen one of those.
Yeah.
A. He gives it an A.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call it a perfect introductory episode, but
could you show every season should have an episode that you could just show to someone out of context and they get it, and there's
there wasn't that much wordplay in this one. There were a couple of things.
Yeah.
or like, incorrect idioms or something like that. Although they've been weak on those in general recently, but okay. But Cousin John gave it an A. I went with B+. Yeah, maybe maybe it's A-, but
I mean, it was so great. We got Don't Be Ridiculous 2 times.
Of course I have Don't Be Ridiculous.
And we have Dimitri on that billboard.
Heavily featured on the billboard, in the backpack, getting squished in the backpack, sitting there next to the picture of Marianne that he brought with him.
Yeah, not flying off in the wind.
Yeah, I thought it was windy.
So windy before.
He's got him anchored down to something. Got him tied down.
Let's talk about Perfect Strangers today. Could we remake this episode in modern times?
I think you could. I think it largely holds up.
Would people still do these billboard promotions?
Sure. There's still billboards. You could do there's a lot of LED billboards. They're like screens now, right? But sports, stunts, marketing productions, losing streak, all of that, getting stuck on someplace high in a billboard or on the roof.
So explain that. What was the marketing promoting, and was it meant to be like a luck thing to get them to end the losing streak?
Look, you get the press talking about 2 employees from the Chronicle are on a billboard and they're not coming down until the Bulls win.
It's promotion for the Chronicle?
The Chronicle.
And the Bulls?
Yeah, the Bulls is secondary, but primarily it would be promotion for the Chicago Chronicle, or they would write the story and put it out and get the press and get the interview. It's it's no different than like the contest where like you got to put your hand on the car and be the last one on there.
But I feel like the losing streak thing is also like putting out into the universe some kind of pressure to end because you have these 2 people on this. It's like a hunger strike, right? Like
so maybe it makes the Bulls play better because they feel bad. That
we got to get those guys off the billboard.
They're trying to put something that's for the team
really understand,
too.
Yeah, okay.
It's just sports promotions they do crazy things.
What kind of promotions do they do these days?
I'm trying to think of a crazy promotion.
Also, have you ever been on a billboard?
No.
I've never been on a billboard.
I'm not going up that high. I mean, I've been up in like a cherry picker real high, like 30, 40, 50 feet to hang things, which is scary because it's really wobbly.
Yeah.
But top of a building billboard, no, but you can climb there, I guess.
Yeah.
They got ladders everywhere. I'm sure it is windy. The graffiti dudes get up there somehow. You see that?
All right, so Perfect Strangers today, we could do it. There wasn't anything like era specific.
No, I think you could do the same thing. Maybe you could change the promotion, but have them. The whole thing is like have them stuck somewhere together.
Yeah,
and the lying. You could make that anything.
Change the promotion. No, but you don't even have to change.
No, you really wouldn't. You could do the same thing.
But they would have cell phones. We would have to write in something about why they were up there without. Maybe the cell phones didn't work because they were too high. No, it would work better.
There was a cell phone antenna right next to them.
Yeah. They'd be like,
they could live stream themselves on the billboard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they would be live streaming.
They're like, we're not coming off until the Bulls win. Bulls, you hear
us? They
wouldn't
have that panic of getting stuck, though. How do you recreate that without cell phones? They'd have to have dropped their phones or something.
Right. They wouldn't, because they could just call somebody and be like, oh, we got stuck on the boat.
Yeah.
We got stuck on the boat. Maybe
the promotion was about like going up with no devices.
Have you seen this thing where millennials are calling, they're discovering
hanging out?
No.
That was a joke.
No. They're discovering walking without your cell phone. Just walking. And it's called like quiet walking or silent.
Shut up.
I swear to God. They're like, hey, you guys should try this. Leave your phone at home and just go out and walk with your thoughts. Wait, what is it called?
That's gotta be a joke.
I believe
that's gotta be a joke.
No, it's
because I saw a similar thing, and then there was a meme about a response to this thing, but then everyone was getting mad at the responder saying like clearly the original poster was joking, and what the original poster wrote was,
it's possible. Oh, no, there's a New York Post article. Headline, silent walking trend has Gen Zers leaving iPhones at home to go for walks.
Oh my gosh.
They call it silent walking.
That's great.
Imagine this. Just try this. Just leave your phone at home And go out and walk and do what? Be with my thoughts? Yes.
Okay, the one I saw was similar, but clearly the original poster did it as sarcasm, but it's really funny. It said, guys, I had an idea. IRL podcast. Your friends come around, no microphones, no recording, and you just talk about different things. And if you have some time, maybe you could even eat food. Has anybody tried this before? And then the responder was like, Tech Bro just discovers hanging out. And then they're like, no, clearly you didn't get, the guy was joking too, but it's a similar line of jokes. Yeah.
I'm like Daily Mail, New York Post. There's Daily Mail.
Silent walking.
Now TikTokers invent a new fad. Walking. Gen Z influencers reveal how they're doing age-old practice of going for strolls without their phones in craze dubbed silent walking. Silent walking on TikTok.
Oh my God,
Search
it's a trend.
It's a trend on TikTok.
Listen to this.
It started a movement. It's hilarious.
Listen to this headline in Forbes. 2 ways the silent walking trend can supercharge your brain.
This is amazing. This is the world we live in.
Healthline, silent walking. Can this TikTok trend really boost your mood and fitness? Oh my God, everybody's taking this seriously.
The videos are how to join the silent walk movement.
TikTok's latest wellness obsession? Are you kidding me?
But what I don't understand, some of these videos are of people walking and they're like with their phone, filming themselves, talking about leaving your phone at home.
How are they making videos?
I don't know. They're like, they're walking with their phone.
Oh my God, I have to write jokes about
this.
This is
This is prime. This is prime stand-up material. Silent walk.
Ridiculous.
The millennials have... Gen Z has created walking. Hey, have you ever tried this? Just take out those AirPods.
To engage in a silent walk means to intentionally put your phone away while on the walk. No podcast, no music, no phone calls. Just the sounds of nature, traffic, and your own footsteps and thought. That's just walking.
Listen, but I want to exercise caution. Don't go willy-nilly and try this for like 30 minutes. Try it for like a minute first.
You wouldn't even know
work up to 2 minutes.
30 minutes are past because you don't have your phone on you. You'd have to be wearing an analog watch.
Just work up to it, Gen Zers. Try it for a 5-minute walk. Then increase it to 6 minutes.
I feel like we're going to see a bunch of Gen Zers like in the fetal position on the street corner, on the sidewalk.
It's true. So where I work, we hire a lot of 20-year-olds, and I've noticed this trend is that like everybody now, this is not new. Everybody, even at their desk, they all got earpods in, and you don't know if you say something to them. You don't know if they're listening to you because everybody's walking around with earpods all the time. And are they always like you can't never have those things? It's really
they're
weird.
Just putting EMF straight into their brain, like
they're always in there. Like, but even like in an office
silent
capacity,
walk all the time on my own before this. I silent walk every day.
Silent walking before.
I like hearing the birds and stuff. You know,
you got to be with the voices in your head. It's kind of scary.
Silent walking is taking off on TikTok. I cannot believe this. I'm in shock.
If we could
everybody's taking it seriously.
You could do like a Perfect Strangers episode today about silent walking, which would be kind of funny. Like, because like 20-year-old, like if we're doing the show today, these are 20-year-old cousins. This is what 20-year-olds would be like. They'd be like, Carson, have you heard of this thing called silent walking? Watch this. And he takes off his earpods and he just walks around.
I'm like literally in shock right now. I cannot believe these headlines. Hear about
this. I saw
and all these publications are taking it so seriously.
Yes.
Newsweek, I had chronic pain, silent walking healed it.
Healed my life.
What?
It saved my life.
Okay, look at this one. Indian Express, is silent walking just a trend or the exercise you need? What?
Is silent walking the new Gangnam Style? That's not a real headline. I made that one up. Yeah, and this is not like The Onion, you know? It's not an Onion headline. This is an actual TikTok.
16 tips in the science of walking silently.
16 ways to do it.
Breathe. It's like take slow breaths.
Tip number 2, don't try to move both feet at the same time. Use one foot in front of the other. No, I'm making all this up.
People are silent walking and raving about its benefits. Oh my goodness.
I practice silent breathing. I like to breathe without my cell phone. Maybe. Anywho, that's what's happening now. Join us again next week when Balky starts a catering business. Oh, entrepreneurship. I like it.
Didn't he already cater Bibi Babka?
He tried to make Bibi Babka a thing, and Larry screwed it up. I hope he gives it another shot.
Aprons and pink boxes. And
it would have been fine if Larry hadn't sold 1,000 of them overnight. That's great. That's like one of the best.
I wonder what what the next catering venture
Of course, Larry's going to mess it up. In the meantime, you can support the show by silent walking with us every day or giving us a virtual tip. Buy us a virtual coffee.
But not while you're walking because you won't have your phone.
But not while you're when you're done silent walking and you go back to your phone, hit that buy us a coffee. We appreciate any and all donations. Digdas, rupees, pesos, all goes back into the show. Keep it going.
And when you've survived your silent walk and reaped all the health benefits,
but you're gonna
and
make
you
it
come
through
back
it.
home and
okay.
you pick up your phone or your computer, you can also take that opportunity to go to our website, danceofjoypod.com. There you'll find all the links for all the places where you can listen to this podcast, so you can go to those places and like us and subscribe to us and rate us and review us, all that fun stuff. You can also, from the main page of the website, press a little button right there and leave us a voice message. Tell us how your silent walking has been going. Tell us what you do to make a big, important decision. Do you wait for Destiniki, or you have some other ritual? We won't make fun of it. We're not Larry Appleton. We will be very interested. Or you can also just send it to us in an email at danceofjoypod@gmail.com. And, of course, the thing we're all addicted to, our social media accounts. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dance of Joy Pod. But Imran, what is the most important thing our listeners should do?
Never silent walk with your eyes closed. Vision is a very important aspect.
Eyes and ears open.
Eyes and ears open, one foot in front of the other. And listen, you'll get through this.
Don't fall.
You'll get through this. At first, you'll be like, but what am I supposed to listen to?
You listen to
and then you start talking to yourself, and you listen
urbanscape.
You listen to nature and dogs barking,
cityscape,
work things out,
and sirens.
You'll make it. You'll be all right. Because
leaves
at some point,
rustling and snow crunching,
you'll come back where you started from, and you won't have to silent walk again.
But you'll have no idea how long you've been walking because nobody wears
exactly,
watches, and you won't have your phone with you.
And you'll see if you have any messages, and you probably will.
And you'll also have no idea how many steps you took because you won't have your phone.
But unless you have your Apple Watch on. But that's
true.
cheating. You can't have the Apple Watch on. I don't know what the rules are of silent walking, but I'll tell you what, the really important thing is to share this show.
No earbuds. You can probably have your phone on you. You just can't be
but the Apple Watch is connected to like texts and shit. And,
but you can't actively be playing something or streaming something.
Or listening. Yes.
No
listening.
Earbuds in your ears.
Yes. It's a strange concept.
It's just walking.
And then while you're walking, tell someone about the show. Share the show. You'll meet people. You'll have nothing else to do.
People on the sidewalk.
But you won't be able to like show them on your phone, but you can just tell them.
Just tell them. It'll be fine.
Just give them a...
They'll enjoy hearing about it, I promise. Everything will be okay.
It will be fine.
Okay. We can do this. We can walk. Silent walking. Oh, boy. All right. Well, that's our show for this week. Now we are so happy.
Now we are so happy. We do the dance of joy.
Hey, 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 hey.